Imagine returning from a brutal, like near-fatal deployment in deep space. Your ship is scorched, your nerves are completely frayed, and command just, well, they grant your crew shore leave at a whimsical, glittering carnival.
Yeah, with the single mandate that you just have to relax.
Right. So why does a simple magic trick send two engineers into a paranoid panic? And why is a commanding officer treating a high society dinner party like a literal combat zone?
It is a wild juxtaposition for sure.
Welcome to today's custom-tailored deep dive. We are so thrilled to have you with us as we unpack this massive, totally fascinating stack of personal logs and mission reports from the crew of the USS Arawyn.
Specifically during their shore leave at the Starfall Carnival, which is on Starbase 369. And we're going to structure today's overview as a very specific sequence of events.
Right, starting from the beginning.
Exactly. First, we'll look at the bizarre early carnival interactions and those quiet but vital personal breakthroughs the crew experienced. Then we will follow that thread directly into the climax of the station's social gatherings.
Where rank and personal lives violently intersect.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because while shore leave sounds like a relaxing vacation, for this particular crew, it is an absolute powder keg.
Oh, absolutely.
We are talking about magic tricks gone completely wrong, high-level corporate espionage happening in the shadows, and I mean, some of the most intense, politically charged dinner parties you can possibly imagine.
Setting the psychological stage here is crucial if you want to understand any of these logs. I mean, Starfleet officers don't just turn off their training because there's a Ferris wheel nearby.
Yeah, they can't just flip a switch.
Right. This specific crew is fresh off a deployment where the Arawyn took devastating damage. So they are carrying the lingering trauma of combat, the massive weight of their specialized tactical training, and in some cases, some incredibly complex family baggage.
Which follows them right onto the promenade.
Precisely. They are hyper-vigilant individuals who are suddenly thrust into an environment designed entirely for unpredictability.
Which brings me to the medical logs. I was reading through these, and that clash between hypervigilance and whimsy gives us our first incredible story.
The rabbit incident.
Yes. Two Arawyn engineers, Sorensen and Watkins, literally rush into sickbay, and they're carrying a white, middle-aged, lop-eared rabbit.
But they are not looking for a vet.
No, they are genuinely terrified that a carnival magician named Zelansky has transformed their colleague, Lieutenant Ryan Collingway, into this rabbit.
Which is just...
At first glance, it reads like a comedy sketch, right? I mean, why are highly trained Starfleet engineers this gullible?
Well, see, they aren't gullible at all. Their threat assessment matrix is skewed by the reality of their profession.
Wait, what do you mean?
Out in deep space, shape-shifting, mind transfers, bizarre biological transmutations, those are actual, plausible occupational hazards. They have literally been trained to expect the impossible.
Oh, wow. So it's a totally logical leap for them.
Right. When they see a magician, quote-unquote, vanish, a crewmate and a rabbit appears.
Yeah.
Their combat-addled brains don't process it as sleight of hand. They process it as a hostile biological event.
That makes total sense, but the reality of the situation is still hilarious. The duty nurse and Dr. Amberlin have to actually run a medical scanner on this bunny just to calm them down.
Just to prove it's really a rabbit.
Yeah, they confirm it's not a human officer. It's just a rabbit with a minor ear infection, and they even prescribe eye drops for it.
That's amazing.
And when the engineers finally track the magician down, he's lounging in his tent, blowing purple bubbles from a pipe. And as a chaotic apology, he hands them a vial of his finest Andorian wine.
Which is pretty strong booze.
Yeah, he warns them it might kill them. And he even sends the rabbit, whose name is Spencer, by the way, to the real Ryan Collingway with this cryptic note warning that the carnival has hidden dangers.
And Zelansky's warning proves entirely prescient. You know, the carnival acts as this microcosm of the universe's unpredictability. It constantly tests the crew's ability to discern real threats from harmless illusions.
Right.
And while those engineers were dealing with a harmless illusion, Ensign Walker encounters a threat that feels entirely real.
Oh, at the Ferengi tent.
Yes, he visits a fortune teller named Guyla and pays 5 credits to drink a vial of blue water, which is supposedly sourced from the Klingon temple of Borath.
He takes one drink and immediately hallucinates that the entire carnival is gone. I mean, he sees the station's promenade completely destroyed and empty.
It's a terrifying log entry.
He says he can literally smell phaser burn in the air, and there is an unseen, terrifying monster stalking him through the wreckage. He runs out of the tent screaming, and Guyla just coldly mutters to herself that his future wasn't too bright.
The contrast there between the funny rabbit and that horror is staggering. But the most dangerous threats on this station aren't the ones you hallucinate in a fortune teller's tent.
No, they're the ones happening in quiet rooms while you sleep.
Exactly.
Which brings us to a massive, chilling revelation in the logs regarding Ryan Collingway's father, Stephen.
The CEO?
Right, CEO of New Frontier Deliveries. While Ryan is sleeping off the festival, his father is sitting in his office studying covert surveillance photos of his own son. He actually hired a contact to pose as a tourist just to spy on Ryan.
And his reaction to the photos is the darkest part.
Yeah, that shocked me. He sees a picture of the battle damage to the Arawyn, and he's furious. But wait, help me understand that. He's furious his son survived.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
How does a father, even a ruthless CEO, justify wanting to, quote, carve Starfleet out of him when his son just narrowly survived a combat deployment?
You really have to look at it through the lens of a dynastic corporate mindset. Stephen doesn't view Ryan as a son who needs comforting.
What does he see him as, then?
He views him as a valuable commodity, a critical bloodline that must be preserved for his corporate empire. So his anger stems from a loss of control.
Because Starfleet is putting his asset in danger.
Precisely. He views Starfleet as a reckless entity risking his proprietary asset. When his previous attempts to get Ryan kicked off the ship failed, his resentment just curdled into outright hostility toward the uniform itself.
Man, it's like going to a whimsical theme park to ride the roller coasters, but the mascots might literally poison you with blue water, and your overbearing billionaire father is secretly tracking your every move via corporate espionage to forcibly extract you from your career.
It's incredibly stressful. And faced with this constant undercurrent of unpredictability, plus the sheer physical exhaustion of repairing their damaged ship, the crew seeks out strange, grounded methods to process their stress.
Which leads to some major personal breakthroughs. I loved reading about Counselor Nick Miller's coping mechanism.
Oh, yo-yo.
Yeah, he is the ship's therapist, and his method for de-stressing is literally walking the dog. He uses a yo-yo, and he bonds with Ryan over teaching him a complex trick called a pinwheel.
Such a great detail.
Nick even points out that dealing with silly stress prepares you for real stress. He's so desperate to find balance that he humorously talks to his bonsai tree, Ray, when trying to convince himself to go to sleep. But how does playing with a toy on a string actually help a trauma counselor?
Consider the mechanics of physical grounding. When the prefrontal cortex is stuck in an abstract crisis mode like worrying about corporate espionage or invisible monsters, it loops endlessly.
Because you can't just fix those things right away.
Exactly. Those problems can't be immediately solved. But a yo-yo presents a tangible physical problem with an immediate physical solution.
Oh, that makes sense.
The repetitive kinetic motion grounds the nervous system. Miller understands that the mind simply cannot rest if the body is still holding on to the chaotic energy of a crisis.
And we see that need for a physiological reset manifest in a much more intense way with the ship's chief tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Grayson McKinney.
Grayson is a fascinating character.
He's legendary among the crew. The engineers sit in the mess hall spreading rumors that he rigs his quarters to beam intruders directly into space, and that he keeps a bloodthirsty Klingon targ as a pet.
The rumor mill on a starship is unparalleled.
Right. So Ryan, acting on a dare, approaches Grayson while he's eating a replicated rice dish to ask him about it.
And Grayson just casually dismantles the entire mythology. He explains that beaming people into space is a medical necessity, only in very specific, rare contexts.
And the targ?
His quote-unquote Klingon targ is actually an Earth cat named Brasa, who has very strong opinions on the room temperature and frequently complains to engineering about it.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
But after putting Ryan at ease, Grayson does something completely unexpected. He recognizes that Ryan and the engineers kept the ship together during the recent attack, so he secretly recruits them for a mixed-discipline, no holodeck safety rating sparring club.
A secret fight club.
Yeah. Grayson notes that real crew cohesion doesn't come from a briefing room. It gets built by doing hard things together. So what does this all mean? Why form a secret fight club instead of doing standard Starfleet trust falls or team-building exercises?
Well, standard protocols are highly clinical, right? They engage the analytical brain. But combat trauma lives in the nervous system.
Okay.
Simulated, controlled physical combat allows these officers to process lingering adrenaline half-lives. When you're sparring with the safety protocols off, your sympathetic nervous system fires just like it did during the ship's attack.
So it tricks their bodies.
Exactly. By surviving that simulated danger together, it forces them to rely on each other instinctively. They forge unspoken bonds in the exact physiological state where they experience the trauma. It's a highly advanced method of resetting their neuroplasticity.
And those bonds, forged in the quiet moments with yo-yos and the intense moments in the holodeck, they suddenly collide in the most high-stakes social events of the carnival.
The social gatherings.
Right. We are moving into the climax of the social gatherings, starting with a highly anticipated date between Grayson McKinney and Dr. Claire Dunross.
The preparation for this date reveals how much is riding on it. Claire deliberately chooses a blue silk blouse, knowing the exact statement of confidence it makes.
But the date goes sideways almost immediately.
Because Grayson's family happens to be on the station.
Yes. On their very first date, Claire is introduced to Grayson's intense command-level father, Edson, and his sister, Brianna.
Brianna is quite the character.
The logs describe her as being entirely full of hot sauce and aggressive Academy cadet energy.
But Claire handles this sudden ambush flawlessly. She redirects Brianna's interrogation with graceful social maneuvers, basically turning defensive questions into shared humor.
And the reward for navigating that intense family gauntlet is this stunning moment out on the promenade. They share a kiss under a brilliant golden white meteor shower light display.
And Grayson, ever the analytical tactical officer, quietly notes in his log that initial data is very promising.
Spoken like a true Starfleet officer. But the real pressure cooker of the trip is Vice Admiral Sidra McLaren's dinner party.
Oh, this event is a masterpiece.
This is a masterfully orchestrated event. Sidra literally has the room asymmetrically designed just to force social circulation. You cannot hide in a corner. The architecture pushes you into conversations.
And the guest list is a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, the layers of connection in that asymmetrical room are incredibly dense. Stephen Collingway Ryan's ruthless father arrives, bringing the alcohol. Commodore Will McCaffrey is present.
And Captain Rucker arrives and reunites with Stephen, revealing a shared history going back years.
Then Claire Dunross arrives at the party. In the hallway, she runs into Captain Corbin, who is carrying a bottle of Boar's Rock Scotch as a gift for the Admiral.
Which is an inside joke.
Claire finds this hilarious because she knows Boar's Rock is actually Sidra's own personal label from her civilian days. But when Claire steps inside the room, the worlds completely collide.
It's the ultimate awkward family reunion.
She realizes Stephen Collingway is her cousin, Vice Admiral Sidra is her aunt, and shockingly to both of them, Grayson McKinney is standing by the bar.
It's quite the setup.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because Grayson had spent the first hour of this party perfectly executing strategic invisibility. How does a tactical officer just vanish in a room full of admirals?
It requires immense discipline. Strategic invisibility means positioning yourself in the physical blind spots of the room's geometry.
It's like hiding in plain sight.
Yes. It involves mimicking the breathing patterns and conversational cadence of the people near you, so your presence never registers as an anomaly. He is using 14 years of specialized tactical training to ensure his threat signature is absolute zero.
But the second he sees Claire, who is his anchor, he abandons the training entirely. He crosses the room, places his hand on her back, and then has a horrifying realization.
The McCaffrey connection.
Yes. He just spent the last 5 minutes heavily praising Commodore McCaffrey's kill zone dressed in legal language sanctions, completely unaware that McCaffrey is Claire's cousin.
It's a nightmare scenario.
It's like bringing your new romantic partner to a chaotic family reunion, only to realize you've already accidentally pitched a ruthless military strategy to your uncle.
The tension in that scene is brilliant, though. Grayson's deeply ingrained mindset completely crumbles, and he just accepts the vulnerability of the moment.
And the dinner itself evolves into a masterclass in reading a room. I mean, these are flag officers who use anecdotes the way other people use phasers.
The war stories they tell over dinner are incredible. Captain Rucker tells a story about a young Ensign Sidra defending an evacuation operation against 8-to-1 odds by building booby traps out of spare parts.
Which is so badass. And Captain Corbin counters with a hilarious tale of an automated colony logistics program that decided to, quote-unquote, optimize everything.
Right, the AI disaster.
The AI delivered water filters to luxury sectors, medical supplies to agriculture, and eventually tried to reroute her shuttle, forcing her to shut the entire AI down manually. But why do they swap these specific kinds of stories?
It is a form of social deterrence. When Captain Corbin tells a story about outsmarting a hyper-advanced AI, she is politely signaling her own power and problem-solving dominance to a room full of predators.
Oh, I see.
It is a way to measure each other's threat assessment and establish a hierarchy without ever drawing a weapon or raising a voice.
Hmm.
Even in their downtime, Starfleet officers turn every social event into a tactical display.
And that tactical display carries perfectly into the late-night hours of the station's underbelly at the Gold Spiral Casino. Grayson and the ship's security chief, Pavel Korev, head down to the casino floor.
And Pavel makes a bet.
Pavel bets his latinum that Grayson can't stay invisible for 30 minutes in a chaotic crowd like this. Grayson accepts the challenge, but he lasts exactly 11 minutes.
Because the past is always waiting in the blind spots.
Yeah, he gets cornered by Damon Brule, a Ferengi casino boss, and Brule is there to collect a 4-year-old compound interest debt involving a ceremonial energy whip that Grayson won in a Davo game years ago.
An energy whip.
Wild, right. So Grayson agrees to play in a high-stakes private Tongo game to settle the debt. He tactically reads the Boolean player perfectly, noticing the tension in his shoulders. He assesses the Ferengi's ear twitches. But there is a Cardassian at the table he simply cannot read.
Right. And Grayson gets a napkin passed to him by Pavel that contains just 2 words, Obsidian Order.
Which changes everything.
Grayson realizes the Cardassian is an intelligence operative because the man doesn't just suppress his physical tells. He never developed them in the first place. He is a complete blank slate.
Wait, Grayson just happens to run into an Obsidian Order operative and a Ferengi diamond holding a grudge over a whip at the same table. Does this guy ever get a normal night out?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the answer is no. He is a product of his environment, and his environment is inherently dangerous.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But what is truly important is how he handles the situation. In Ferengi business, compound interest is a financial tool used to trap people. But in a Starfleet career, compound interest represents your unresolved baggage and the consequences of your past actions.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Grayson doesn't fight his way out. He wins the game, and instead of keeping the winnings, he pays off the daemon cleanly. He settles the ledger.
And then he sits down with Pavel, and over a second vodka, he finally drops his guard completely and confesses his feelings about Claire.
He stops assessing the room and just exists in it.
Pulling this all together, the Starfall Carnival wasn't just a break from duty for the Arawyn crew. It was a psychological pressure cooker.
It forced them to confront their pasts, whether that was Stephen Collingway's corporate plotting or a 4-year-old energy whip debt.
Right.
And it forced them to forge vital new bonds through tangible grounding tools, like yo-yos, and the simulated danger of secret holodeck fight clubs. Ultimately, it made them navigate the intense, beautiful collision of romance and Starfleet rank.
It really redefines the idea of what a vacation can be. But I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over or explore on your own.
Always a good idea.
Think back to Gala the Ferengi and that blue liquid she sold to Ensign Walker. We know the Carnival strips away your defenses to show you your true trajectory. So what does it actually mean that Ensign Walker's vision was a destroyed, empty station stalked by a monster?
It's a haunting question.
If that liquid truly shows you what is coming, is the ultimate danger of shore leave not the physical threats, but the psychological mirrors it holds up to the crew. It makes you wonder if that X-ray machine of their minds is showing a clean break, or if they are sailing right back into the muddy waters of their own worst fears. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Arawyn logs. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll see you next time.